Hi, my name is Victoria and I'm a child psychiatrist. I'm here to answer the questions that you have as a parent about your child's mental well-being. The question I'm answering today has come from one of the comments on YouTube, and it's how do I support my child through exam stress? If you would like me to have a look at your question, please do put it in the comments below. I do look at them and then I choose some to make videos on. I'm also hoping to put in a course for this because I know it's a thing that's very close to lots of parents' hearts. Exam season is coming, so do check out my website. I'm putting some live events to help you as a parent deal with this. Otherwise, stay tuned and I will tell you what I think about this particular question. So, managing stress is actually a very, very useful skill to have. And I know you probably don't think about it in this way, but actually, exam stress is a fantastic opportunity for your child to learn how to manage stress in general. And one of the great things about it is that it's something that you know is coming, it's planned, and you can help prepare for it in advance. So actually, I would see this as a very, very good learning opportunity to practice some stress management skills with your child, which is actually going to be helpful in the long run for them as well. So probably the first thing to do is to think about what helps them generally keep their stress levels low. That might be exercise, that might be doing some kind of activities, that might be meeting friends, it might be spending time watching telly, but sort of some things that they generally find keeps them on a level. Identifying those things is really important and making sure that they do happen at regular intervals throughout the exam period, the revision period is really, really helpful. Help your child plan this in so they're not cutting down on time with friends completely, or they're not cutting down on, exercise is something that really helps them regulate themselves. Make sure these things are planned and that your child does absolutely do them, because it will just help the general levels of stress come down. Of course, they are also going to have some peaks of stress, because that's what happens during exam times and other stressful situations. So the second thing that would be very helpful is for you to identify with your child what helps them in the acute stress bit. When they're just feeling up there, what helps bring them down. And it's usually sort of very short term things, like it might be going out for a walk for 10 minutes, or distracting yourself with a funny YouTube video, or doing something like that, something very, very simple. And it's really helpful just to come up with a list of a few, and both for the baseline, stress levels, and for the acute stress levels, it's best to do this well before the revision time kicks in. So you're doing it at a time when your child is okay generally and able to think about these things, so that you already have a list in advance of what helps them, so that when you see them going very high up, you go, oh, well, here's a list, which one of these do you want to do? I can see that you're getting very stressed. And helping them to identify actually when to go to the list to start, distracting themselves or whatever it is that works for them is really important. And the last thing to really talk about is really helping your children think like in the longer term. And this is hard because teenage brains aren't quite wired to think about the long-term future yet. They're more sort of focused on short-term goals. Also, when you're in a time of stress, anyone in a time of stress, such as exam stress, that narrows kind of your time frame. You're just thinking about surviving, these few weeks, and you can't really think beyond that. So that also happens to teenagers' brains. And of course, the third thing is a lot of schools do really, tell teenagers that they absolutely must sit exams. And I can tell you, I see some very unwell children who absolutely should not be sitting exams. And, they're all very, very upset they can't do it because their life's going to end if they don't do it. And I think it's having those conversations that there are other ways through life, and that you can resit exams, and people do very, very different things. It is just slightly expanding that frame for your child, because it is going to have just collapsed inwards and they'll be just focusing on the here and now. I think that's something that you will probably have to keep talking about throughout the exam period, because when the stress levels are high, the time frame will keep shrinking, and just being patient about that, because that's just how it is. So probably a great thing to do if you're thinking about what to support your child with right now is just sit down with them and look at the things that, help keep their stress levels down generally, and the things that bring them down, in acute levels of stress. Come up with your lists and plan them in. So I hope you liked this video, and I will see you next week for some other questions being answered.